And oh, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. So I don't know what's up there.
Welcome to the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. My name is Patricia Austin, and I am the board president of the Whitfield Training School Cultural Center. It is with great pleasure that we have an opportunity to share with you stories that have impacted our community. These are stories, this organization, this building, this facility is somewhat of a historical vault. It holds the history of those who have come before us and those who are with us now. And we treasure the fact that it will be a part of information that is shared for the future. So it's with absolutely great pleasure, we want to share the stories of 4 individuals that have been a part of the history and the lineage of the Whitfield Training School. I tell you, it is so important for you to hear how these individuals have impacted our community. The first story that you will hear, or some of the stories that you will hear, will come from George A. Crockett Jr., a local resident of Whitfield, Virginia, born and raised here. He currently lives in Roanoke. But, you know, the fact of the matter is he touched many lives when he was here. I'm not going to tell you everything because his interview is empowering. The next person that you will hear from is Candace Johnson. Candace, born and raised here in Whitfield, Virginia, and is now the vice mayor of Whitfield. She is the first African-American female to become vice mayor, actually to become a member of town council. Oh, how wonderful it is for me to share information with you about Pastor Harry Grubb. Pastor Grubb has been in our community for more than 2 decades, and he has been sharing the word of God. And his powerful speaking and his delivery of messages has been so empowering. It has touched many lives. But that's not all. He wasn't always a preacher. And last but not least, when we think about someone serving for more than 40 years in law enforcement, who has worked themselves up from the bottom to the top, you will hear from Chief Joy Hash. What an empowering story, how enlightening, how motivating. One will hear his story and think, if he can, I can. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our guests. These are people who are making a difference in our community, and they too are keeping history alive. Thank you. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. And today, I want to just share a little bit with you about the project. This is a project where we are telling our stories, and you are a very unique, prominent person in our community with an outstanding past of how you've served the community. And so first of all, I just want to say thank you. And again, welcome to the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. You know, it's important for us to be able to share our stories and to leave a legacy of our history. So I'd like for you to give me some information as we begin to tell the story. First, we're going to just talk a little bit about your demographics, and then we're going to go from there. So could you give me your name and the city in which you live?
I'm George Crockett, and I live in Roanoke, Virginia.
George A. Crockett Jr.,
Okay.
and you live in Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke.
Wonderful. And it's my understanding that your mother is a student of the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. Is that correct?
Her and my father.
Okay, very good. All right, with that said, your name came up in another interview where a gentleman told the story of the Whitfield Velveteers.
Okay.
His name was Ken Johnson. And so, could you share a little bit of your experience about being in the Velveteers? It was a absolutely noteworthy group that performed all over Whiff County and throughout the state.
Sure. Yes, we put a little group together. Uncle John Johnson, decided he wanted to put a group together. So it was at least 10 of us when we first started. And we played everywhere. I mean, we went everywhere. Kenneth played the bass. I played drums. And, I mean, we go way back. Gary Burks, Bush Harris, Earl Sawyers.
And he shared a story about you and Diddy Walk.
Me and Diddy Walk. And John Green.
Who's formerly known as James Wise, right?
Wise, yes. We were the youngest one in the groups. We were 11 and 12 years old.
When the group started?
The group started. And we would go into the clubs down on the yard in Roanoke to play, and we had to sit back and watch how everybody was sitting around drinking, and and we learned a lot from them.
Yeah. Well, we know that, music is a universal language, and it united a lot of people and from all different races and classes and age groups, and just, it was a wonderful time, a wonderful experience.
Yeah, we were ready to go. I think we was going to hit the big times, and the draft started. And it drafted 2 or 3 of the members, and then one of the members got sick with TB.
Oh.
So that's what broke the Velveteers up.
Okay. And so, but I do understand that you were a member of several other groups, and some in which there was a religious background to those groups. Can you share a little bit of information about the other groups that you were involved in?
Yes, we were with the Stars of Hope. And when we started out, it was about 15 or 16 of us. It was like a choir. Mm-hmm. And it was myself, George Houston, Earl Sawyers, and John Bourne. Ended up at the end with Miss Hunter Austin playing piano. But the rest of the group didn't like the type of music we played because we played the old-time religion music. So the Stars of Hope stayed together, and we ended up doing very well. I mean, we played all over Virginia, went to Greensboro and cut a CD, and we cut several CDs, and we did a lot of traveling. We worked for the Lord. I mean, every Sunday or Saturday, anything they had here in Whitfield, like the Rock House, when they had the grand opening for the Rock House, we did it. When they had the 4th of July celebration, we did it. They always called on us at the Chautauqua Festival. We were the main attraction for gospel groups on Sunday.
And so I heard you mention a lady's name by Huntus Austin.
Yes.
And what was your experience working with Huntus Austin?
Huntus was one of the best you could play with. She knew her music. She's been around a long time. She taught us all something. I mean, we all learned from Miss Huntus. And it just got to where she couldn't travel like she wanted to and like she could, but Miss Huntus did it all. I mean.
And she was the pianist at Bethel AME Church, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Miss Huntus worked with us, and we'd take her to Greensboro to record and spend the night. And it's full of things. The lights went out. We had a big freeze down there, and the lights went out, so we had to cut the van lights on. So she had lights in her room. So the van lights stayed on half the night until the juice came back on until she went to sleep. So that's what we took care of each other. I mean,
right.
It was good. It was a good experience. And like I said, we broke up. We went our separate ways because everyone moved. Then we lost 3. I lost 3. I'm the only one left originally. with the Stars of Hope.
Oh, okay. So you had several members that passed.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, there were other groups. I think as a spinoff from the Stars of Hope. Could you share some information about those groups?
I don't know much about those groups. It was the Wings of Faith.
Wings of Faith.
They played, and they were really good. I don't know much about them, but I know they were very, very talented.
So this group that you were with Ms. Hunnis and some of the other members that you mentioned, did you play mostly at the churches or
We played everywhere.
All types of events?
Yeah, we was Weathersfield. We was everywhere. Churches, anywhere they called us to play. We played down in Roanoke, all over the state of Virginia.
And the recordings that you made, can you share a little bit about those recordings?
Well, our first recording was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we played our best song on the recording it was The Rough Side of the Mountain. We played The Rough Side of the Mountain and Ain't That Good News, and we played, what the older folks like, and we had a little mixture for the newer folks, young folks, and it went very well. I mean, we're together for at least 15 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so your CDs, so were they CDs? Were they?
There were CDs back then.
Okay, because I was wondering whether it was cassette.
I'm sorry, it was cassettes.
So how were the cassettes distributed
We sold cassettes.
at your events?
At our events, and plus we had, I can't remember the store, but we had a little store where it set up cassettes for us and helped us sell.
So there was a distribution plan where you
Right.
actually got your music out into the community.
We got out.
And you were the reception in the community, would you say that audience was a mixed audience? Who was in the audience?
It was a mixed audience. And I mean, we played for black churches, we played for white churches. It didn't matter who it was, we played. And we went to even Speedwell, Virginia, a little town like that. We went over and played for churches like that. We played for some big churches in Roanoke. We got around. We did very well. And just Miss Hunter's got ill, and we just about all of us went solo. I ended up singing doing some songs and going around singing, and Earl did the same thing. And when we first started, John Bowen said he couldn't sing. And we worked with John to sing bass.
Oh.
And John Bowen ended up being one of the best bass singers you could have around here. And then George Houston was set in and helped Miss Hunters with the piano, plus he sung. So, we had 4 singers and Miss Hunters on the side playing the piano.
So it sounded like this was a musical group that had multiple talents.
Oh yes, there's a lot of talent, a lot of talent. Everybody loved the music, and like Earl was still singing until he got sick. George was still singing until he got sick. John was still singing until he got sick. So I'm the only one left.
Okay,
God
so we know that music was very fulfilling to the community, and we know that the music kind of transcended throughout the different communities.
Oh yes. Yeah, like you was talking about Diddy Raw and myself. Me and Diddy Raw used to have battle of the bands. He played with one band, and I would play another band, and we play around these schools and have battle of the bands. We battled against each other. And we was top groups in around the state of Virginia. We went our separate ways, but we did what we had to do.
And they say that competition makes a group stronger. What do you feel that was?
I agree with that. It really does. It makes you work harder because you want to be better than the other group. I mean, we argued several days. Me and Dave did. Well, I'm better than you are, or you're better than I am, or something like that.
So it made you work.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good. So, George, if you had to do it all over again, in being in these various groups, thinking about the young ones that are coming along, what advice would you give them?
First thing I would do is tell them to turn their life over to the Lord, because I waited a long time until I got with that group before I turned my life over to God.
So you believe that that group was instrumental in you
Yeah, it changed my whole life.
life-changing
It really did,
event. So music can affect us in different ways.
Different ways, and it depends on the music you're listening to too.
Right. So it's a big influencer.
Yeah, but it brought us all together, and we really enjoyed working with each other and singing, and we growed like a family. It's more like a family than anything. If somebody was sick in Miss Hunter's, we got to Miss Hunter's and even practice. And then we would practice up here on Main Street at the church area. Or we could find a place to sit and practice. That's what we did.
So there was no studio or anything of that nature that you all had to practice in. It was just wherever it was convenient.
It was convenient. The only studio was in is when we went to record.
Okay. So, well, I just want to say thank you. The Whitfield Training School and Culture Center is making a serious effort to capture our history. And we know that music was a big influencer in our community. And your name came up several times in different interviews as a person that was related to music. And we wanted to make sure that we got your opinion and was able to hear your story as it relates to how you made an impact on history in our community by giving us the music. So on behalf of the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center, we would like to say thank you for your contribution and making us as a community stronger.
Well, I appreciate you asking me to be here. And I will tell the young people, turn their lives over to God. There's too much going on in this world right now. The devil's trying to take us over, and no matter what age you are, you need to turn your life over to God. God's good. God has blessed us all, and He's still blessing us, and He's going to bless us. And I learned a lot from the Stars of Hope because I was out doing my thing, just hanging out in the streets and stuff, and Miss Hunter's rescued us. She really rescued us and got us out of the street and put us together, and we would practice just about every other night.
What a wonderful experience.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So again, thank you for being with us today, and thank you for telling your story.
Thank you for having me.
Today we want to keep history alive, and we're going to be interviewing a person that is well known in our community, and her family is well known in her community, and absolutely attached to the Whitfield Training School and Culture Center. Her grandmother's name was Lucille Johnson, and she attended the Whitfield Training School as a student and was able to share some of her knowledge and her skills and abilities with her son, Arthur Johnson, who we learned earlier in an interview that he was a coach at George Wythe High School and has been a pillar in our community. So today I'm excited about interviewing somebody that is what we refer to a lot in the African American community in Whitfield as one of the first. And so I am going to be interviewing today Miss Candace Johnson. And Candace is the first in many ways, and we will talk about that. However, I would like for her to first just introduce herself to you and tell us, where do you live?
Hello, my name is Candace Johnson. I am a Whitfield native, and I currently live and reside in Whitfield. I've lived in Whitfield all of my life, with the exception of 8 years. And those 8 years I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I am a country girl at heart, so I came back home to Whitfield to raise my son and to live and make a difference in my own community.
Well, we welcome you to Whitfield. I mean, you've been here for many years and you left, as you said, and came back. And so you are making a tremendous difference in your community. And so, again, we want to keep history alive. So with that, I want to just talk a little bit about you. What are some of your fondest memories of living here in Whitfield?
Well, I grew up in the community which the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center is located. I grew up 2 blocks, maybe 3 blocks from here, on 9th Street.
Yes.
And it was a close-knit community. And a lot of people don't realize this, but we had what was called, it's basically 4 corners. And it was 4 corners of the elders and the
Yes.
babysitters.
Absolutely.
Of which one was my grandmother, Anna Lucille Johnson. They called her Picky. And we played on the hill. It was called the hill. But out of the 4 corners of the hill, you had Miss Beveridge Sawyers, you had Picky, and then you had Miss Shirley Hines. You had all of those people down in the corner areas. So if you got away from one section, you had someone else in another section that had eyes on you.
Right.
And I can remember my grandmother coming out on the sidewalk with her telephone. She had the longest telephone cord I've ever seen in my life. And she would say, okay, I see them now. Because we would be told, you've got to go back around the corner. And so they kept their eyes on us to make sure that we were doing right while our parents were at work. And so it was never called 4 corners, but those corners of the hill section, you would find a watcher.
Yeah.
Over
It
the
established a
children.
boundary.
Yes, exactly. And they would watch the children. They would always have an eye out. And they would communicate by telephone. And, you know, we could be going home and she'd say, well, I see them now. And they kept in touch with each other. And that's something that our community lacks today. They do not connect with their neighbors to protect one another and to protect one another's children. That's one of the things that I miss. We were able to walk to church every Sunday when it was not cold outside. I was able to walk to church. I didn't have to worry about any predators or anything like that. It was safe and we could walk to church. I walked to Sunday school at Franklin Street United Methodist Church. And when Sunday school was over, my parents were coming through the door to attend church. So I was brought up in church at Franklin Street. And we lived on 9th Street. All of our family lived, per se, on the hill. My grandmother lived on one corner. On the other corner, my uncle lived on that corner. My aunt lived at the bottom of the hill of 9th Street. So our family grew up together on the hill.
And it sounds like you can attest to the old African adage that says it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes, ma'am. I can attest to that. And that is true. I wish we had more of that today.
Well, you know, you mentioned that you were a country girl, and there are certain cultural characteristics of people who live in the country. And many of those cultural values and traditions have faded, but there are some that still exist. So in your opinion, being a person who has a child and now has grandchildren, of the way that it was when you were brought up, if you could identify one thing that you think that our community should adopt, what would that be?
Farming. We're losing a lot of the farms. We raised our own beef, we raised our own hogs, we had our own gardens. And one of the highlights of getting our gardens healed was by my Uncle George Austin. He would come, he had a tractor, and we looked forward to him coming. He would come first and till up the garden. And then he would come back again for a second phase. And then after that second phase, we were able to plant. But that was the highlight in the springtime, is him coming. We would be outside watching him just go on the tractor. And, you know, my grandfather and my dad, they raised hogs and beef. And we did not do Black Friday shopping.
Exactly.
We worked meat on the Friday after Thanksgiving because we slaughtered our hogs on Thanksgiving morning. And then on that Friday, they would bring the meat back from the processing company, and we would work that meat, wrap it, and get it ready for the freezer. And so that's something that I would like for my grandchildren to always know how to do in the event that they should ever have to live off of the land. they will know how to do so. And I'm blessed because they actually did a garden in their backyard this year. My son has taught them how to garden along with his wife. They've taught them how to garden. My granddaughter, she grew some lavender. They grew cherry tomatoes. They grew some dahlias, and along with green beans, corn, squash, and zucchini. So my son is teaching them the ways of old. We just no longer slaughter our own beef and hogs anymore. I wish we did, but we do not do that right now. But I'm glad they are learning. That's something that is important.
I must agree, and I happen to know George H. Austin. He was my father, and so that was a ritual in many of the African American homes. Thanksgiving was not about Black Friday. It was definitely about preparing for the winter and making sure that people had what they needed to survive.
Yes.
That their meat was properly prepared, labeled, and placed in the freezer. So I'm very familiar with that because it was a tradition all my life. It was something that we did up until the time that he retired. So, but I do want to say to you, the farm still exists, and we'll probably go back to those old ways again. So your grandchildren may have an opportunity to pack meat. Okay.
All right.
So I just want to say to you too, we talked a little bit about being connected to the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. And so your father actually went to the extension of the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center, which is known as the Scott Memorial High School, and was a member of the Scott Memorial Hornets. And so I know that a lot of his talents and skills was passed down to you as far as basketball is concerned. How did that playing on a team? He talked about being on a team and how that made him feel. How did it make you feel? It was a different time and a different in a different environment, but playing on a team, what value did that add to you in your actual future career, your career now?
Well, Miss Austin, when I played basketball in high school, my last 2 years of high school, my dad was the assistant basketball coach and my homeroom teacher. So I know what it's like to be a team player. And in life, in order to be able to excel, to be able to succeed, you have to be a team player. There is no I in team. And in any of the jobs that I have worked in, I worked for New River Valley Regional Jail for over 22 years. I was the first African American training coordinator at that facility. And so as a training coordinator, I did things as a team player. I knew that I could not do the job myself. I was very fortunate to have some captains, lieutenants, and sergeants. And I will speak on one of those, the late O.C. Miller, Captain O.C. Miller. Whenever I needed training done, he and Captain Payne, Lieutenant Connor, they would always come together and say, hey, what can we help you with? How can we get this done? I didn't like the fact of pulling people in on their day off. So what we did is I created the training packet. I emailed that training packet to them, and they, in turn, went over the training because they were instructors, and they made sure that everybody on their team got their annual training. So I'm a firm believer in teamwork. When you have teamwork, you win. You win.
know, there is a saying that teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, ma'am.
And I kind of agree with that, because I think working as a team, we can do more than one.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is above the power of one. So I heard you speak a little bit about being the first. And I want to just reflect a moment, because I want to say and acknowledge, you know, we come from a tapestry. And one of those strands in your tapestry is not only your father, but your mother.
Yes,
she was known should be recognized as one of the first.
Yes,
She
ma'am.
was known as one of the first hired government workers in Whitfield. Could you speak just a little bit about that?
Yes, my mother and my father both were very influential on me when it came to being a part of the workforce growing up, watching them. They were public servants.
Yes.
My dad is a retired educator. My mother is retired from the United States Department of Agriculture. My mother worked for the Department of Agriculture for 40 years. And she is known by just about, by the farmers in this community. The town of Whitfield, if you had land, farmland, and in the county, she's known by those individuals. And I work part-time currently at the Wythe County Sheriff's Department. Mm-hmm. So when people come in and see my last name, they will ask, was Janet Johnson your mother? And I will say yes, and they remember her. And before she went to work for the United States Department of Agriculture, she worked at the carbide plant. And a gentleman brought me an article about my mother that I did not have. And I was very thankful to receive that. But my mother worked for the United States Department of Agriculture for 40 years right here in the town of Whitfield. So barriers sometimes are not hard to overcome. You can't focus on the way other people think or feel about you. You overcome barriers. I have overcome them because I have followed God's plan through prayer and perseverance and knowing whether or not I'm in the will of God. I try to remain in the will of God. That's how first have been a part of my success, is because it's God's plan.
Absolutely, and I can acknowledge that because I'm going to speak about something that you're involved in right now. You're involved in a lot of different activities with different focuses. But I want to talk about one, and then I'm going to talk about another one that I think is significantly important. The first one I'm going to talk about is the role that you're in now. You're in a role as the vice mayor of Whitfield, Virginia. And I'd like for you, if you could, just to tell me how that came about, the impact you hope to make, and where you are now.
Well, it all began in someone asking me to run for a town council seat. And when I was asked, I said, I don't think that is for me. And she said, well, you pray, don't you? And I was like, yes, I do. And she said, well, can you pray about it? Well, I just said a little quick prayer. And in that prayer, it's like, if it's in your will, it will come back. Bring it back. Well, he brought it back. And at that point, I knew that the Lord was trying to move me into a different territory. And so I fasted and I prayed for direction. And the simple answer was, go. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Well, the process came easy. He ordered my steps. He placed a lot of vital people in my life to help me, to give me encouragement, to give me everything that I needed at that time to be able to go through. He let me find favor with the constituents of this town. And not because of who I was, but because of who he is. He allowed me to find favor with all people and people of all parties. And that was a blessing to me. Only God can do something like that. And I won a historical election. I had a total of 1,410 votes. Not realizing that I had made history, but I did. And I went on, we had a reorganization last year. And so during that reorganization, I was nominated and voted for to be the vice mayor. I was nominated by Holly Atkins to be the vice mayor. And they voted for me to be the vice mayor. And once again, it was a God thing. I have to give God all the credit for the success that I have. It's not anything that I've done. I'm just an everyday citizen, just like everybody else. But I was chosen by God to do the job. And I'm going to do the job for the people. I don't serve myself. I serve the people, or the constituents of the town of Whitfield. It's all about serving them.
And what I hear is that, and it sounds very generational, that you come from a family of servant leaders. And so with that being said, I know that the church is a big part of your life. And as African Americans, the church has been historically a big part of our lives, particularly in Whitfield, Virginia. When you talk about the Bethel AME Church, when you talk about Franklin Street United Church, and now when you talk about the Church of Christ, we have a lot of historic church, the Baptist Church. There's a lot of historic churches in Whitfield where we as African Americans, and I'm going to say for the non-African Americans who are believers, are worshiping God. And so you have stated that God has ordered your steps.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you have stated that you are here to serve the people.
Yes, ma'am.
And so how do you make sure that people know that your door is open?
I can be reached, contacted anywhere. A lot of people may approach me while I'm at work, and that's okay too. Some people email me. You can contact the town office. They will take a message. They will get that message to me. You can email me. If you go on our town website, you will see that I have an email address. You can reach out to me. When people reach out, and a lot of times people reach me through Facebook. I've gotten messages on Facebook. I try to get done the things that need to be done. Now, there are times when I'm not able to get things done because it requires a vote.
Yes,
And
process.
if everybody's not on board with what's trying to be done, I'm only one vote. And so I do try to make my point. I want our citizens to be put first in the town of Whitfield. This town cannot run without its citizens. If the citizens don't pay taxes, we don't have revenue. So we want, I won't say we, let me retract that, not we. I can only speak for myself. I want to serve the people of Whitfield. I'm not there to serve myself. I'm there to serve. I do not have an agenda for me. I'm there for the agenda for the people, and it is for all people, every constituent, every walk of life that lives in the town of Whitfield. It doesn't matter where you come from. It is all about getting things done for the people.
And it sounds like the people spoke. We talk a lot about your vote is your voice. And so when they spoke for you by voting, that was their vote, their voice. And so the people of Whitfield have entrusted in you to bring forth the successes of Whitfield as well as things that we need to work on. So I know that that's a busy job over there, and you guys work very hard, and the town is flourishing. So I'm hoping that we see more growth in Whitfield as time passes. So we know that Whitfield is a place where people have come to be able to live a life of their choosings. Everybody doesn't always agree on the rules and the regulations, but we know at this point in time, we can say that Whitfield is, compared to a lot of other cities, is a pretty safe place to be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So with that said, I know that there's a second part, actually a third part in your life. And the second part I want to talk about, not that it's second in line, it's probably most first in line and should be, is the work that you do with your church.
Yes, ma'am.
Church is a place where we find comfort. Church often is a place where people gather in order to receive information. You have chosen to work in your church. How does that work make you feel?
That's one of the best positions I've ever held in my life, because it's not just inside the doors. It is not just inside the doors. I don't just go in the church and come out, but I am a servant of Jesus Christ. So I try to live a life as he lived his life. And I live my life according to Matthew 28, the Great Commission. It begins, I think, at verse 16 and goes on down to verse 20. But I live my life according to the Great Commission. We have people who have lost hope. We have people that are just lost. They don't know what to do. They are hurting. They're grieving. We have people in our community who have real needs. So when it comes to being a servant of Jesus Christ, I share the gospel. I go out, I do home Bible studies. I do jail ministry. I'm our women's director, which means that I put together events along with my pastor's wife, who's the first lady of our church, to bring women in. We just had an event, Renewed and Restored. It allows women to come in and have an opportunity to be prayed over, to be prayed for, and to hear a word of encouragement, the word of God that will encourage them in life, to pick them up, to give them direction in any situation that they may be in. I've had the opportunity, I've baptized over 60 women at the New River Valley Regional Jail. So I've had an opportunity to be able to do what I love, which is serve people. Serving people, working in the church is being a servant. It's not so much as leadership. The definition of leadership is being a servant.
Exactly.
It's not about being on the platform.
Again, a servant leader.
But it is being a servant, serving the people. Jesus went about being a servant.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say, hey, look at me, I'm up here on a pedestal. He went about being a servant. He went about healing and meeting the needs of people and giving people salvation and deliverance. And I want people to see people live their best life. I know that there's a better life, and I want them to live their best life.
And speaking of living their best life, the third aspect or dimension of you, in you, through you, I want to talk a little bit about your family. You are a single mom.
Yes.
And now you have grandchildren.
Yes.
What would you like to share about the love of your life with your family?
Well, I know, number one, being as a single mom, all things are possible.
And I think our single moms need to hear that.
Yes, all things are possible. And, was it easy? At times, no, it was not. But one of the verses that I live by was when King David said, I've been young now that I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And as a single mother, I put my focus on Christ. And when I put my focus on Christ, Christ then put my life in order. My son has not begged bread. I have not begged bread. He put my life in order. He was my source and my supply. He placed me in jobs that I never dreamed that I would ever be in. Never dreamed. I sit here today I never dreamed that I would be the vice mayor of the town of Whitfield. Never dreamed that, but it's all a part of God's plan. God made the provisions for me. Now, there were times I had to work, so I had my mom and my dad. They were my babysitters because they...
Support system.
Right. My mother had retired. My dad still worked at Georgia High School. So my son would catch the bus to the high school, and my dad would bring him home when he came home, and then I came home in the evenings. But I prayed when my son reached middle school that I would be able to work a Monday through Friday job. That job did not exist at my employer, but he created the job at my employer for me to work Monday through Friday. I retired in a Monday through Friday position. I was able to be the football mom for my son's football team in 2015, his senior year. I was able to be the football mom to make sure they had pregame meal because I worked in a position where I had vacation time and I could leave early if my work was done. So God has really made the way and paved the way. If you put God first in your life, all things are possible. With man, it is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And I can testify to that. I'm a testimony. If you go with his plan, he has a plan for everybody, and everybody's plan is different. It's not the same. However, if you follow and choose his plan, everything will fall into place in your life.
So as we sit here in this very historical building, and you've touched on many aspects that has been a part of this building, the school, what it stood for, what it stands for, and the role now is to make sure that we keep history alive. Historically, sometimes people think that they arrive how they arrive. But you've mentioned a pathway that has been ordered for you to be able to follow. And along with that are strands of history that you take with you. Mm-hmm. As you think about those different strands of history, which is like a tapestry of our life, what strand or strands will you make sure that you connect back to your family?
Well, I want them to know where they came from. It's important. I look at the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center as a place that they can come. They can learn about the history of our community, the African American community here. My grandchildren, I want them to know their history. Mm-hmm. And they are rich in history. They're biracial. So they're able to be rich in history from both sides.
Yes.
And so they can come here you all have a Juneteenth celebration. When they come here, they can find information on their great-grandfather, Arthur Johnson, their great-grandmother, Janet Johnson, and their great-great-grandmothers, Anna Lucille Johnson, and Augusta Sales.
Yes.
I am thankful that this center provides that information. Not only do you provide history, but you provide education as well. I can look back at a time when a young lady was struggling in school. And it came up about a tutoring program. And they do that next door. That mother checked into it. That young lady has graduated high school and is working on graduating college. She's grown in leaps and bounds. She was able to overcome the struggle. You all provided the help that she needed here. And I do believe that you all provide other educational programs. I have seen them advertised, medical programs, genealogy programs. There's so much here to offer, not just the African American community, but the entire community on a whole. And that's what I appreciate about the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. It is not just for the African American people, but it is for all people, all people. And that's one of the reasons when it comes to being a servant, you have to serve all people.
Absolutely. So, Vice Mayor, we want to say to you, thank you for the, I remember, I don't want to give my history away, but I remember when you were just a young lady. And I certainly was very close to your mom and still am. We want to thank you for your contributions to Whitfield, Virginia, Wythe County, and all of the areas that you've touched, because you too represent one of those magical strands that make up the tapestry of our life, that represents the cultural well-being of who we are. And like you said, the Whitfield Training School not only serves African American, it is a place that highlights African American life in Wythe County and broader, because we needed a central location to do that. And so what we want to say is, we thank you for the work that you do for all people. And that's what we continue to do since its inception and beyond. So as people come to the museum, they will see not only the history, but we have the exhibits to bring it forward. So we look soon to see you featured in this museum, because you too are a part of our proud history in Whitfield, Virginia. And we want to say thank you for being a part of this Keeping History Alive series, as it is essential for us to continue to tell our stories. And we thank you for telling yours.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. So I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. Now I go to the movies and I go downtown, but somebody keeps telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Yes, sir. So now I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But somehow he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Well, there were times carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Oh, I know a change gonna come. I said I know. Change is gonna come. I see it now. Yeah. Oh my, yeah. Me. I said a change is gonna come. I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. So I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Now I go to the movies and I go downtown, but somebody keeps telling me don't hang around. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Yes, sir. So now I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But somehow he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Well, there were times I thought I wouldn't last for long. Now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Oh, I know a change gonna come. I said I know. A change is gonna come. Hey, hey, a change is gonna come right now. Oh, a change is gonna come. I see it now. is gonna come. I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. So I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Now I go to the movies and I go downtown, but somebody keeps telling me don't hang around. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Yes, sir. So now I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But somehow he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Well, there were times I thought I wouldn't last for long. Now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Yes it will. Oh, I know a change gonna come. I said I know a change is gonna come. Hey, hey, a change is gonna come right now. Oh, a change is gonna come. I see it now. Hey, oh my, leave me. I said a change is gonna come.
Today I have the great pleasure of interviewing Pastor Harry Grubb. And I'm excited about this because of several reasons. Number one, having a strong pastor in our community really basically is the foundation from the roots in which we came. And the other fact is that you are the pastor of a church that had a close relationship to the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center. And more than that, you have a direct link. You had a parent or two that graduated and went and attended the Whitfield Training School. So can I ask you to please state your name and the city that you live in?
Okay, Harry Thomas Grubb, and I'm from right here in Whitfield.
Pastor Grubb, again, I want to say I'm excited about having you to participate in Keeping History Alive. This is a project where we seek to ensure that we preserve aspects of history. And one of the best ways to do that is through oral histories. Stories have been passed down from generation to generation, and we hear a lot from different people based on their experiences. And so you had the opportunity of having a parent or two that attended the Whitfield Training School. So history shapes our identity in many, many different ways. As a descendant, can you share some of your thoughts that was shared with you about their experiences at the Whitfield Training School? And if you don't mind, will you tell me whether it was your mother, father, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Mom and dad. They would share a lot about growing up in Whitfield.
Yes.
About coming here and about that. They mostly talked about their associations and the closeness of the people, how close they were, how that on Sundays everybody gathered at each other's houses. They talked about the sports teams. My father would talk about football, and he would talk about the people. And whenever I talked to him, even when he was older, he would always look back, and you could tell he was reliving those days.
And always had a smile on his
face.
Mr.
Always.
Rucco was one that we knew that was a part of a sports team. I think he played football here at the Whitfield Training School and Cultural. Well, the Whitfield Training School wasn't the Cultural Center at the time. And your mother attended this school.
Yes, she played basketball. She did some cheerleading, and she would always talk about it. She'd talk everything Mama aligned with was with her daddy, Granddaddy Thomas Lee. He was quite a character, and Mama just loved the people, and she loved the community, and she was like Dad. They always thought back fondly of Willie Jr. and all of those people that they grew up with.
I happen to know a little bit about your mom because my mom attended the Whitfield Training School as well. And everybody called her at the time Mary Peggy. Her actual name was Mary Margaret Johnson. And so Mary Peggy always talked about Frankie Lee.
Yes.
And Lee was her last name.
Last name was Lee. And they were close because they didn't have anything but each other. That's all they had. They had each other.
And would you say, as a part of the discussions that you heard from your parents, that the Whitfield Training School was like a big family?
The Whitfield Training School was all they had.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you looked at people, and they basically had church and their school.
Right.
And those were the two main things in there. They had nothing else. And they talked about their struggles. And they talked about their education that they received. And it meant a lot to them.
Education was valued.
Yes.
And education seemed to have power for them.
It had power.
It was a way to move beyond where they were.
Yes.
And so, as history would have it, although this was a segregated school and it was allegedly separate but equal, the students who attended here knew that it wasn't quite equal.
No, it wasn't. Mom always talked about the books.
The books.
The pages missing.
The pages.
The
missing
writing.
pages.
The writing on the pages.
Right.
She always felt that they had to catch up. It was always catching up.
Right. Right. And you know, we've heard that story shared on many different occasions because of the strategically different pages being missing out of the books. And if it wouldn't be for the teacher having a book that had all the pages, sometimes they wouldn't even know what the story was about. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that made the difference. The teachers were the anchor for the student, especially for the black student. The teacher, she or he was the example that they could go by, that they looked at.
Absolutely. And you know, Arthur Johnson shared that as well, because in his recap of his experience being at Scott Memorial, he really kind of mentioned that Coach Smith was like a mentor to him. And then I've heard others speak that Mr. Harmon was a mentor to them. And so we know that the power of the teacher and the respect of the teacher was there back then. So it was a powerful thing. Now, you know, the school, the Whitfield Training School, is located here in this community and has been over 143 years. And so this area of Whitfield was referred to as the Hill?
Yeah, the Hill.
Right. And so where Mr. Paul's store was referred to
as Tin Town.
Tin Town. So it's interesting about how the different neighborhoods had a name.
Yes.
But one of the factors that united them all was the Whitfield Training School. The Whitfield Training School. So, you know, you now are a part of that history. Being a part of history brings to mind several different aspects of that we all experience in life. It brings to mind the challenges and the successes. You have become quite a successful figure in our community and well respected. If you could share, what were some of your challenges?
The main challenge that I always, Miss Hopper, a lady that did most of the computer pneumatics, she's famous for saying, "We've always done it that way." And the first thing that I really understood is we can't do things the way we used to. We've got to come up with different ideas. And I know at our church, that's what we do. We're constantly looking at ways to improve. How can we improve what we're doing? It's basically, if somebody is going to ever walk on the water here, somebody's got to step out of the boat. We've got to get involved in what's going on, and we've got to know and care for each other beyond just saying it. We've got to do all this through demonstration. And a lot of challenges with church conferences, with getting things done because they're large and slow, and you're wanting to do things very quickly. So there's always challenges, but if you maintain the course with vision, you'll end up where you want to be.
And that's the successful efforts.
Yes.
And when I say that, when I hear that, I think about the modeling of behaviors. And you just mentioned the fact that you have to step out of the boat onto the water.
Yes.
Now, there were a lot of people at the Whitfield Training School that stepped out of the boat.
Yes.
And molded who we have become. So when we think about our community, we have to think about some of our successes. And you have a success story. You have a success story. You have been a pastor, and I'm not going to tell you a story.
Yes.
I need you to share your story, because who knows you better than you? But the experiences that you've had as a pastor.
Yes. I've always been, I was in large churches, we were associate pastors. And I was always in a Pentecostal holiness church. And the board members came because Franklin Street was experiencing some problems. The numbers were really gone. 52% of our churches now are 26 members and less.
Yes.
70% or 50 member and less. So when they came and I agreed to come, I looked at it as being, and everybody thought that I was going to take our large church. Well, he's going to be stepping right in when the pastor leaves, but God said differently. God told me and Janet, come to Franklin Street. And we have been able to be there. And I'm going to tell you, the agreement that we've encountered at Franklin Street from the membership is just totally amazing. Every project that we've done, they've just supported it. And that's what God was saying. The new project, our fellowship hall, they support it. They're excited about it. So as long as the people will look at what you're doing, and when we came in, we had to prove to them that we were part of their vision. We had to financially support them so that they said, well, we trust you.
Right.
We know you have our best interest at heart. Because if you don't do that, if you're just a pastor from outside the community, shows up on Sunday and leaves, it's just not working. And it's not going to work.
You know, when you say that, I think about the experiences that the students had at the Whitfield Training School. You mentioned the word trust. And they had teachers that came from different places, but they became a part of the community because they lived in many of the community's homes.
Yes.
And worked at the school. And they became a part of this community. You also mentioned about, believing in the vision.
Yes. The Bible tells us without a vision, the people perish. If you don't come up with a vision, I tell them, if your vision is not greater than you, then you'll never achieve anything. You've got to have a vision, an end result that goes beyond what you believe, that goes beyond what you even imagine.
Right.
And that's what I'm constantly trying to teach. Your vision has to be large. Don't put God in a constraint that he can't do. Always put God in the position that he will do. And if we do that, God has done so much at Franklin Street. He has done, it's so abundantly blessed that everybody says it. And it's not because of us, it's because we say we agree with this vision. We want to see the church become what God wants it to be.
And we think a lot about churches and we actually see buildings, but the people is the church.
Because the building's just a building.
Exactly.
We're selling buildings, and a doctor's office or something else will buy the building. It's only a building. The people in the building, and you have to really make sure that you put that first. That it's not about the building, even though we have to care for the building, we have to spend a lot of money. Our church, 1888, it is a financial nightmare to do anything. But the people has to come first.
But what we know about the Franklin Street Church is it was a part of the foundation of the Whitfield Training School.
It was all together.
It was all together.
It was combined.
It was combined.
Yes.
It was combined. So it was part of the remnants of what it became. So learning started in the basement of that church.
Yes.
And it was transferred over into this building.
Yes, it was.
So do you think the values and influences that you may have had or you may have experienced through the teachings of your parents influence how you may think today?
Yes, it encouraged us to be more than you thought. And plus, it corrected us. There was nothing wrong with being corrected. We knew our limits. I deal with so many young people today that have no limits. They are struggling to find themselves. But we were not there. We knew what our parents stood for, and we knew what they expected. And if you didn't do it, you knew the outcome.
And as I've heard many of the stories, any member of the community could correct you.
Oh yes, Miss Beverage Sawyers would correct you. Miss Agnes Eads, Mother Eads.
Yes.
Those ladies didn't play.
they were the extra eyes and
They were.
ears
They
of the
were.
parents. And so in thinking that, because we know that the success of the Whitfield Training School is apparent by who we show up as today.
Yes.
So do you think some of those teachings we should reinstitute today?
Oh, yes. A lot of them. The teachings that we had, the structure that we had. I've been a youth pastor, children's home youth pastor. I've done, and the structure that we learned is what needs to be taught. I told the young people the other day, listen, you've got to figure this out. You've got to stand for something. And you've got to, and listen what I told them, someone has to tell you something.
Yes.
I told them that in the sermon. Someone has to be able to tell you something in your life to better you, because you don't have all the answers.
Right.
And that's where we learned this. We knew, we saw Mr. Frank Sawyers,
Yes.
Mr. George Austin.
Yes.
They went to work. We saw them going to work. We knew what was expected of a man. It is your place to go to work.
Right.
And we saw that, and it taught us that.
It was an expectation.
It was an expectation.
It wasn't an option.
No, it wasn't.
It was not an option. And so when you say the names that you said, Miss Beveridge, Mr. Frank, all of these people were an extended part of our parents and
Yeah.
could dictate
Yes.
what you were to do.
I would never forget. I was carrying on one night, and the most hurt I've ever been is when Mr. Bobby Green looked at me and said, I heard you out there in the street acting wild. It hurt my feelings so badly because he was saying it.
Right.
Because he was correcting me, and I didn't look at him and say, you have no right. It broke my heart that he was telling me that. And that's what we need today.
A bit of shame.
Yes.
A bit of shame.
We need shame.
And our parents reinforced
Yes.
what they said. And if there was a call to one of the parents that they saw what you did,
Oh, yeah. No. And you didn't never go home and dare say, Miss Beveridge got on me. You never would say, because you knew the problem, you were going to have even worse problem, because they wanted to know, why did Miss Beveridge have to get on you? What did you do?
Absolutely.
Oh, no, I never forget that. And it taught us life lessons.
Life lessons. And so when we hear, you hear it a lot when people are speaking that it takes a village to raise a child. That was our experience.
Yes.
It's not a saying. It was our experience.
It was your experience.
And whoever was in that village that took action to correct you, direct you, guide you, was endorsed by the parents.
Yes. I'll never forget Miss Georgie Lee eating at her house.
Yes.
Miss Cora Lee eating at their homes. And it wasn't like you were disinvited.
You
or
were
not
always
welcome.
invited.
You was always
Invited. There was always enough food cooked
Yes.
for anybody who put foot under the table.
It
Would you
sure-
agree
always.
with that?
I saw Mama feed people. She had 8 kids. But if somebody come to the house, they were fed.
Yeah.
It was that idea, Pig and everybody, that we ate at each other's houses and was around each other and experienced each other. And it grew us.
Yeah.
It grew us to be able to handle things differently.
I agree. There was some sharing and caring and praying
You
at the
had
table.
to. You had to share.
Yeah. It was not an option.
It wasn't an option.
And whether you lived in Tin Town or the Hill, if you landed in a yard when it was dinner time and they said come and eat, it was anybody who wanted to come and eat.
And you ate because you offended them if you didn't eat.
Exactly.
Because they knew you were hungry.
And right. And and you never said, I don't eat
No,
that.
you don't never, you would never dare say it. You would eat it. I hated greens, but I never said, I won't eat I ate those greens.
Because they were good.
Because they were good. And guess what? They had been cooked. They'd been prepared.
And
Yes.
and set on the table.
Yes.
You know, when you talk, it brings back a lot of memories, fond memories. But I would dare to say that they were not people who spared the rod.
They sure didn't.
So we were disciplined and we were educated.
Yes.
You shared the story about Senior Bobby Green.
Yes.
And at that time, we all knew that he was a man that cared about his community.
He sure did.
And I'm sure when, like you said, I can affirm that when he said to you, "I saw you acting
He
wild."
told me, yes, it could. It was like a switch.
Yeah.
You know,
he didn't have to put his hands on
No,
you.
we had to go get our own switch.
Absolutely.
Didn't hurt a bit.
The old cherry tree was always active.
And you better got the right switch.
Uh-huh. So, you know, I'm going to say to you, you know, as I said before, you are now a history maker. How do you think we can keep history alive?
The main thing that we have to do is be responsible. We have to be responsible for the community. We have to be a lesson for the young people, and an example that they can look to. Had a young lady come to me Sunday, and she had and I just basically am honest with them. The boy will never be a prince. He will always be a frog. And because I want to be an example to her and teach her that this is not about my life. This is about your life. What can he supply for you? What can he give you in life? And if you can't answer those questions and answer them to me boldly, I said, you're just marking time. And that's the history I want to leave. I read those books at Franklin Street from 1888. A few years out of slavery, and coming right out of slavery, and having a vision to build a church where that they had been people oppressed. You know, where do you get that? That comes through faith.
Right. We know from history that from slavery that we were oppressed, and
Yes.
that there was the general belief that we were not teachable and trainable.
Oh yeah.
That there were certain things that we could
Not do.
and that it was pretty much work in the fields and work in the home.
That was basically the openings.
The Whitfield Training School offered reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'm made to understand from other stories that have been shared that the instructors here were very serious about your reading, writing, and arithmetic. Do you think in our community today, although many of them never went past the 8th grade, that we should be teaching more?
Yes, we have to. I told a gentleman the other day at our church, and I think he went to the 7th grade, and I talked about what he had accomplished in life. But we always have to be teaching. One of the things I try to explain to them, you have to be teachable. I tell the young people, don't go to school and just waste time. Go to school with the determination. My little granddaughter is just violently locked into learning. They just want to learn, and they want to learn everything that they learn because they understand that my advancement doesn't only come. I might make it in baseball, I might make it in basketball, but my advancement comes through education. And we have to teach, and the training center is such a place that is taught and tutored and all these things for young people. And that's even more so. I look at the young people and say, you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to be an avid reader, and you're going to have to you wouldn't believe the number of people that I would, for the power company, and hire that I'd have to look at what their degree was because they had wasted 4 years. And they could have done so much more. But yes, Pat, we've got to teach. We've got to really show our young people that you can do this.
You know, there was a time where I guess in our community that we became reserved because parents were offended if you tried to teach their children something, that was not your business and that's not your role. What is your thinking about that level of restriction?
Well, that's still going on. That's not anything new. I have had children from especially in larger areas, dealing with church, that were the outcasts because they were the A students. They were not treated well because they excelled. And that goes on now. And my feelings about that is, listen, choose your friends wisely. I had a young man the other day. He is the most excellent young athlete. And I told him, remember, sharks are always circling you. Everybody that says they're your friend is not your friend. If they don't promote you to be all that you can be, then you need to get away from them. Because you're trying to achieve something, and you can only achieve it with people that are willing to walk with you.
Support you.
People that are willing to stand behind you and act like you're not there.
Right.
You've got to choose wisely who is promoting you and promoting yourself.
And I want to mention that one of the things that we hear frequently in these interviews, that the Whitfield Training School did a lot of mentoring.
And it always has.
Did a lot of mentoring, and so we have to find a way to reclaim those aspects in our community.
Yes.
And I think we, as the people who benefited from those opportunities, cannot be fearful to approach the young ones and say what needs to be said.
And I've told them, go see Pat. If you're having trouble in this class, go talk to Pat. Go talk to the trainer. I said they've got a wealth of resources that will help you. And let the parents and Janet, to tell you, I'm rough on parents. If the parents are too busy to be parent, it's not your buddy, it's not your best friend, it's your child, and you need to teach them, get involved in their life. Put them and take them. My son Reggie, his children excelled because he was in every aspect of their life. Brian told his advanced calculus teacher, ma'am, understand this. C is the equivalent of an F in my house.
Right.
And that's why they went through school, went through college, and did well, because their parents took an interest, and they looked at them and said, this is what we expect of you. We do not expect you to come here with D's and F's, hanging with your buddies, with no future in mind, because the world will pass you by and you find yourself with nothing. And you don't want the pastor preaching at 19 and 20 years old, your funeral, where you don't understand that the world is a destructive place.
I agree. And I think back in the when the Whitfield Training School was started, and much of the teachings was started in different homes, and then it became a little bit more formalized. It was over at the church in the basement, and then here. I think about those opportunities and the sacrifices of the parents that were made. Many of those kids were working in the fields and in other people's homes and bringing in an income, a nickel or 15 cents.
They had to work.
That helped make ends meet.
Yes.
But to send them to school was a sacrifice for the family.
A financial sacrifice.
A financial sacrifice for the family.
And because they saw that this is our way of advancing. When people tell me, well, the young blacks saw the sports as, I said, no, they didn't. They saw education because their parents sacrificed for them to get those education. It didn't come easy to send a child to school when you had nothing to send them to school with. And parents made that sacrifice, and to train at these places here have turned out some of the most magnificent people that have ever existed because it gave them hope.
It gave them hope, and we try to highlight all of those people because they were the building blocks
Yes.
for who we are today. So I want to say that, Pastor Grubb, you're doing some very powerful things in your church, and it is not going unnoticed. And we, as a partner to the Franklin Street United Methodist Church, will always be a partner, and we are an extension of the learning that occurs there, and hopefully you will view us as an extension of the learning that occurs here. Well, we are a resource for the community, and our opportunities here are endless. You don't see a lot of people in here, but when it's time for somebody and when they have a need, we bring people
Yes.
in. We try to identify a person who can help meet that need.
Yes.
And many of our tutors have PhDs and have expertise in education, and people who are having problems with their education and who have diagnosed the problem that they may be having,
Yes.
so that they can get the right assistance. So, one of the things that I think we like to share is that there is an opportunity to identify other resources.
Yes.
Always. And so I see that that's what you're doing in your church.
Yes.
Identifying resources and connecting the community. So we want to say that you certainly have shared how you intend on keeping history alive. And we want to thank you for sharing. We want to thank you for caring. And we certainly want to thank you for keeping history alive and sharing your story and how your parents influenced you and how that influence has made you the person that you are today. So on behalf of the Whitfield Training School, we want to say thank you for keeping history alive, and thank you for pouring into your community, because that's all a part of the mission of the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center.
And thank you, Pat. Thank you for keeping this alive.
Well, I always say it takes a team
Yes.
to make it work, and it takes a vision to keep it alive.
Yes.
So we're just going to say, as a community, we have to work together
And have that vision.
and keep it going. And the vision changes
Yes, it does.
as the needs arise. So we have to be flexible.
Yes, we do.
So we certainly thank you for any suggestions that you might have, and we want you to continue to be involved in the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center, just like your ancestors was.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today, we have a distinguished guest with us. We have Chief Joel Hash, who is going to be joining us to give us a little bit of information about himself so that we can continue to keep history alive and share with those that are here today and those who are to come. So welcome to the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center.
Thank you so much.
So to begin with, we just want to know, Chief, could you tell us your full name and the city that you live in?
My full name is Joel Lee Hash Jr., and I live in the town of Whitfield, Virginia.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And of course, we just wanted to make sure that we had that for the record, but it's always good information. History is a part of our lives, and we are a part of a tapestry when it comes to history. History kind of shapes our identity in many, many ways, and a part of who we are, and it influences our life, and it just kind of has a major impact on who we are and what we do. And so with that, I'd like to know, who impacted your life?
Who impacted my life? My grandfather, Bishop R.K. Hash. I can remember when I was a small kid, we used to live right across the street from Morning Star Church. And I can remember every time the doors were open, we would be at that church. Even as a small kid, at that time I didn't really understand, but later on in life, I knew that the bishop, which is my grandfather, R.K. Hash, had a profound effect on the town of Whitfield. I can remember, a lot of people going to the Morning Star Church, and I can remember the reflection that he had towards each member there or people outside our church. He always had that friendly vibe about himself, and that inspired me. And I myself wanted to be more like him, because everybody seemed to like him, and he was able to show his love and his character to everyone that he interacted with.
Absolutely, and I remember the bishop myself as a young girl growing up in Whitfield, and the bishop had a huge influence, and
Yes, he
and
did.
the music from his church could be heard from blocks, and so we always knew that there was a presence of the Lord in that church, because we could hear the singing and the shouting and the joy that exuded from that building. And so
Right.
Bishop Hash was a major part of that, and as a result, many of his sons became
Yes, his sons and
ministers
daughters
as well.
both.
Exactly.
And they still share that same passion, preaching and sharing the Word of God.
And it's so powerful. And,
Yes, it
and
is.
as you said, he was a major impact on this community.
Yes, he was.
And for people that are still living here, because he moved away,
Yes,
his family
yes.
moved away.
Yes.
But for the people that are still living here, they definitely remember Bishop Hash and the Morning Star Church,
Yes.
and with fond memories. He
Yes.
always had a helping hand.
Yes, he did.
And so that's what I remember about him, and it always makes me smile when I think about him, because of the love that he shared to his community,
Right.
and the willingness always to help.
Right.
So I know that a lot of those traits that you have, and it's generational. I mean, those particular type of traits are passed down from generation to generation.
Yes,
so
it is.
we see that in you, Chief Hash. We do.
Thank
We
you.
absolutely do. So, the Whitfield Training School is recognized as a history maker. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the center?
Well, living in the town of Whitfield all my life, I've known the center to be here, especially when I was living right across the street from the center.
Okay.
And, the center has always been a place of hope and peace to me. The history that it reflected the struggles and the triumphs that my parents, my grandparents, and others had to go through during uncertain times.
Uh-huh.
And, the center has always brought, understanding to me. It's always brought peace to me, and it has always educated me on how, the town used to be back years ago to where it's at right now.
And what it's become.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, history also presents a lot of successes and a lot of challenges. And would you be willing to kind of share with us a little bit about some of the challenges that you've experienced and encountered? And also, we want to be sure that you tell us about some of your successes.
Okay, the early years of my patrol year, I started police work in 1985. And during that time, I had, some challenges, as a black police officer, and, defined a lot of challenges, with me, especially with racism.
Yes.
Both in the public and at work.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I had some challenging at work.
Absolutely.
Challenging moments at work.
Yes.
And, it bothered me at the time. I never, would forget, during my early years in patrol, every time I would make an arrest, especially with the Caucasian group, I was called every name in the book, every racist name,
Right.
every threatening, I was receiving threats. And to be honest with you, I was spit in the face like 5 or 6 different times in the early part of my career.
Yeah. And I can share that as well. I came up in Whitfield, my first career as a registered nurse or in nursing school.
Right.
I went to Whitfield Community College in nursing school. And I can remember as a freshman over at the Whitfield Community College, as a new nursing student going out for my first clinical experience.
Right.
I had the exact same experience. I had a lady who I was assigned to take care of, who called me a lot of racial names, and also she spit on my face.
Whoa.
So I think maybe back then it might have been a thing of disrespect to just spit in somebody's face. But she did that. But you know, although that was immediate hurt, because of the upbringing, and I'm sure too because of Bishop Hash's teaching, I forgave her for that.
Yeah, I was able to forgive those guys too. I mean, it's mostly men that did that. And, you know, the ironic thing about that, you know, after, you know, they sobered up, every one of them always came back to me and apologized for their actions and what they did. And, you know, during that time I did get angered, but I kept my cool. I mean, I was able to just hold my peace with them because I know I had the job to do. And I know that, you know, the racism, you know, the people, you know, I mean, I forgave them for what they did. And it's something that I had to deal with.
Right.
And something I had to struggle with at the time. But
Absolutely.
I was an overcomer.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that through my teachings with my parents and my grandparents and going to church and learning about God, you know, forgiving others. And that's what my main purpose was to do.
Absolutely. So you've plowed through a lot. You plowed through racism, and you know, it just wasn't easy back then, but you were able to get into a career that you enjoyed.
Yes.
And found challenging.
Yes.
And you made it a career path.
Yes.
What was a major driver for you to just keep pushing through?
Well, my major driver was interacting with people. You know, even though, you know, racism was present at the time, there were still a lot of good people out there. And there was a lot of people that respected my position as a police officer. And, you know, being there for others and, you know, just sharing what I have learned at home and at church. And, you know, I tried to, you know, speak about God at times to people that were struggling. And I just wanted to be there for others that, you know, didn't have anybody to support them. And I just wanted to show that, you know, even a man of color can be compassionate to anyone.
Absolutely.
Especially, you know, somebody in authority.
Absolutely.
And I just like that passion.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, one of the reasons when we, the Whitfield Training School and Cultural Center has the street fair every year,
yes,
we invite the police because we want the police presence to be viewed as a positive.
Right.
And so we always try to invite them because, you know, you are in a position where you are a servant leader.
Yes.
And being a part of that group of leaders makes a big difference. And so we thank you for allowing your team to come here and to be a part of the Whitfield Training School in the efforts that we do. They didn't always have street fairs. We feel like now it's one of the ways to galvanize the community and introduce them to some of the things that the police department and other service industries are doing. So again, we want to thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you guys for holding an event like that. I mean, it brings out, you know, the black, whites, you know, the other everybody comes out to it. So it's a great success for the cultural center.
So and that's what the Cultural Center has always stood for. You know, it was born out of the fact that it was to educate a population that needed to be educated because at that time schools were segregated.
Yes.
And so we were always, as a part of the mission, was to be able to be open to anyone who chose to come here. So that's the philosophy today, Chief, and we want to continue to do that and establish those partnerships with the local police department and to have the police presence to be one that is viewed as positive and helpful. And so we thank you for your leadership.
Thank you guys too. We thank you too.
So being a part of a history maker, you know, we talked a little bit about your challenges and your successes. And so if you were to identify a career path for your children, what would that be?
My career path would be, you know, my son already wants to follow him behind my footsteps. And, you know, I feel the need. I mean, he's been, you know, he has seen me, you know, ever since he's been born. He's 30 years old. So only thing he has seen is me being a police officer.
Right.
And me serving the community. So I would like, my kids to be a servant to the community too, as well. And just have a, open heart, a kind heart, a loving heart for others. And, just spread, God's word, just because God, created us to love one another.
Exactly. And being a big part of the community.
Yes.
So I want to say that Whitfield is very proud to have you because you are, we talk about a lot in the African American population. We talk about people who are paving the way and the people who were the first. So for Whitfield, you are the first African American chief of police.
Yes.
And we know that when you are the first in the African American community, when you're the first, that means you have to be stellar. You have to be the best of the best because you're representing not only yourself, but the rest of that population.
Yes.
And so often, that's a big load to carry on your shoulders. So how do you keep yourself motivated?
I keep myself motivated by being who I am, keeping that, my personality the same as before. I mean, I can remember when I started being a police officer, I'm the same person back then that I am now. I mean, I always had a caring heart for others. And I have shown that respect to others at all times. Even though they didn't respect me, I still showed that respect to them. And, I tried my best to instill in my officers to treat everyone the same. And, as if, they wanted to be treated. And, I have seen that progress, with the officers. I have an open door policy at work. Anybody, out in the community is welcome to come to my office anytime over any type of concerns that they would have with the officers. Because I want my officer, to be interactive with the community and have that connection with the community. And I want the community to feel, safe and secure with us too, and free to come to us at any time. So I have that open ear to listen to anything they have to say and try to be there for them.
Absolutely. And a lot of times being there means that we have to be knowledgeable of valued resources in our community.
Yes.
And so sometimes it seems like you might even be a directory because you're telling people, well, maybe you could call this person or maybe you should call that person.
Yes.
And so that, that information is helpful
yes.
As well. So
yes.
I want to say that I have just one more question to ask you. And as I ask this question, of course, I'm always going to close with the positive and the light that you shine. But if there was one thing that you would like to share with your community about who you are, what would that be?
Well, for the most part, I'm a man of God. I love God. I go to the, Jubilee Christian Center. My cousin, Gary Pastor Hash, he has shared his story many a times in church. When he first started going to college, that's when he became saved. And, he started his church in a small motel room. I mean, I can remember this, ever since he's told that story years ago. And now he has a huge mega church.
Absolutely.
And, with the sacrifice that he and his wife, First Lady Colette, made, I mean, they are a huge example for the African American people. I mean, they struggled at first, but they were overcomers. And they were able to, I can see his life, same as my life. You stay focused with God and God will make a way for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I kind of share those same sentiments. I think that being a servant leader means that there is much that is always asked of us, and we continue to give because God does make a way.
He does make a way.
So I thank you, Chief, for sharing that information about us. I mean, sometimes when we share the vulnerable parts about ourselves, some people seem to take kindness for weakness. But I think in this case, it is a strength, and it's a strength that our community needs and can continue to use.
Yes.
So Last question, and I promise. If you could do more to be more visible in the community, what type of activity would that be?
Well, I would make myself available to the different types of activities that's being held throughout the town of Whitfield, especially from the Cultural Center. Because, you know, I was on the Cultural Center, it's been years ago, on the board for a couple of years. And ever since then, I came back today, and there's been a lot of positive changes. There's been a lot of added details and photos and things to look at, and I'm behind on that. And I need to get back into the training center and just learn and keep learning, because the training center is a place to learn and it's a place to educate myself, and it gives me more knowledge of what, you know, was back then to where it's at right now. And it continues to grow. Every time I come here, there's something that, you know, new within the training center.
That's
So
right.
I want to get more involved in the community.
The chief, we want to say thank you for that, because we have a team that is very small but very mighty.
Right.
And so I just want to say, one of the things that is so significantly important, and of course this project is funded in part by the Whiff Bland Foundation, but the intent is to keep history alive.
Yes.
We can't fear history, we
Right.
can't change history, but we can make history.
Yes, we can.
And so thank you for being a part of the history makers.
Well, thank you too.